my name is Hunter Willis. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager for IBM Cloudability.
Ryan Nitsch, I'm a Solutions Architect with Amazon Web Services. I sit on the fence between IBM and Red Hat as partners here at AWS. I work predominantly with large-scale enterprise customers and anything and everything that they bring to bear. So I deal with a lot of legacy technical debt. I deal with hybrid solutions. I deal with a lot of application modernization. As we see more and more customers adopting the cloud, there is customers looking at, sort of cost optimizations. They're looking at evolving their business into a FinOps approach. One of the questions that I've gotten from customers directly is, if a customer is using an Apptio product to either further their FinOps journey or to sort of optimize their cloud spend, what's the best location for that customer to get learning materials, information about how to do things?
We have our IBM Tech Exchange community that is very interactive. It's really easy to find the Cloudability community and group part of the IBM Tech Exchange community that people can reach out to. There's also inside of Cloudability, if it's a break fix issue, you have the ability to actually file a support ticket and reach help within the solution. And we also have our documentation through the solution available in the IBM Docs capability. So through Cloudability, if you're looking for steps, how-to guides, screenshots that can walk you through some of the capabilities there, that's also available in IBM Docs. We have a lot of videos and content for some of the features at the time that they were released in the Tech Exchange community as well. We also have onboarding learning paths that are available with many of the packages that we offer, right? One of the things that's setting IBM Cloudability apart beyond these online resources that are available and kind of publicly accessible for IBM Cloudability customers is our education services and the team that supports it. So we have our CS customer success team that works through like onboarding and even going so far as to helping customers implement a full FinOps practice within their organization, of course, using IBM Cloudability and the other FinOps suite solutions from IBM to kind of ramp that up and make it be a mature practice along their way.
So the CS teams that you mentioned, these are are they customer service or customer success?
It is customer success. We also do have TAMs that support them. And we have a range of services that we offer. We have like a quick start onboarding, which is like, hey, you know what? In just a few weeks, we'll help you understand the solution, get your teams enabled on it, work through some use cases with you. Then we have our foundation onboarding that can be purchased along with Cloudability. And that's, if there's kind of a walk phase of FinOps and people are really just started getting going with those, we take a few more weeks to help customers not only on board with Cloudability and learn how to use the solution itself, but really do some configuration enablement sessions and some additional use cases to really help the organization use Cloudability to mature their practice and kind of get their feet underneath them and move forward. And then we have several more weeks added in a pro onboarding is what we call it, where we really show how these capabilities, and comprehensive number of use cases can help customers get going with Cloudability. Lastly, as a service package, we have IBM Cloudability Momentum Service, okay? And this is where beyond just like the onboarding for Cloudability and understanding how to use the solution and how it runs FinOps capabilities, this is where we say, okay, listen, you know what? We're really going to help you use Cloudability to get your FinOps practice running over a course of 12 to 24 months. We're going to partner with you side by side. We have our customer success team, but when you get the Momentum service, we're not just going to say you can only talk with them and they've got these use cases and these things they're going to walk you through, right? We're going to bring in support. We're going to bring in the TAMs and even sometimes pre-sales, whoever we need to bring in to make sure that you're meeting the milestones and the goals that we set with you, right? So it is more of like a value-based and a milestone-based delivery service that we work with you to get you going to the level that is agreed upon.
When we talk about AWS integrations, the customer has a lot of options here. And I love that you brought up the relationship of the customer success team, because I think they are a bit of an underutilized, unsung hero. I recently had a customer who was an Apptio Cloudability and AWS customer, and they had a new team that was looking to create some customized filters. It's a hybrid customer, and one of the things that this customer was attempting to do was create filtered views for AWS and filtered views for their on-premises and filtered views for, their other cloud providers, largely so that they could do chargebacks to relevant teams. What happened was our internal AWS technical account managers were pulled into the conversation. How do I do this in Cloudability? CS team came in and said, well, you really don't have to do anything, because you've got these training mechanisms available to you. You can just go into your portals and go through the training, or we as the CS team can help you directly. And the really cool thing is the customer didn't have to build a single thing. Everything was out of the box in the Cloudability product. All of the filtering that they wanted to achieve was already there in a pre-configured view, that they just needed to have awareness of how to get to it. I think the fun thing here was the relationship between AWS and the Apptio team. I was able to jump onto a call with this particular customer. AWS technical team was able to say, these are the incentives, these are the discounts that the customer has. They were able to clarify, do those apply to certain AWS products? And based on that little bit of clarification, the Apptio CS team was like, oh, cool, I'm just going to go into the single configuration file, make a very subtle tweak, and off the customer goes. I really think that any Apptio customer that he wants to take advantage of all of the knobs and dials on their AWS account is, if they're not using that CS team, is shooting themselves in the foot. Back to those pre-built filters. There are a staggering number of out-of-the-box components in Apptio Cloudability that are relevant to an AWS customer. You run us through some of the more popular filters, views. For those who are listening to this, views are essentially a filtered version of the information coming back from Cloudability so that different stakeholders can see things through different lenses.
A couple of things that we pride ourselves on in this conversation, right? One of those is the great relationships that we have with CSPs to be able to work with people at AWS, for instance, to really address any issues or any, data inconsistencies that may be appearing or seem to be appearing, right? To be able to explain those and clarify things and dive into that, get our hands dirty with our customers, right? To make sure everything's clear and correct and that you have good fidelity of data. Once we do that initial ingestion of that cloud information, though, we have a lot of out-of-the-box reports that show the kind of high-level overview of cloud information, as well as based on what's in the curve file, right? All of those, 170 or so columns of what's in your AWS billing data. We have common data structures for the most common scenarios from our customers already built out in Cloudability. And then when it comes to that filtering, we also are able to ingest the tags and the different data points, or what we call dimensions, right? The information that we can assess from the cloud data that does exist already in your environment, and then help you determine what filters are going to be most common for you, right? So let's say, for instance, most environments, when you start using a solution like Cloudability, the tagging situation is usually pretty crazy, right? But there may be a few tag keys that are fairly reliable, right? And that's like a good place to start. But we also allow organizations, and this is kind of the most important part when you really start getting into this allocation story, to synthesize the tag keys and the values that exist inside of your environment, so you can really add a synthetic layer over that grouping. We call them business dimensions, where you can dynamically make those groups of tags or certain filters that you create, group them together in a way that's going to allocate things to make sense for your organization, so that you're basically using terminology and taxonomy that starts to be clear to the business stakeholders, to leadership, and FinOps teams. And of course, the tags that are in your environment and the technical information is still going to exist for you and your engineers, but you also, kind of the goal of FinOps here is to get everybody talking on the same page. So it's going beyond just saying hey, what are my tags? What are the resources and what applications are we supporting, right? Which are questions that need to be answered, and those are things that we cover too. But it's also being able to say, hey, how can we go really quickly to getting a fully burdened chargeback out to the whole organization, where somebody that's in charge of a business unit can pull up a dashboard and they can see the names of the applications that they're using and how much is probably going to be requested out of their budget to cover those applications on a regular basis, right? So we do have, again, like out of the box reports that are pre-filtered when we pull in this cloud data, so that you can kind of see these stakeholder dashboards and common scenarios. And there's several of them, so it's kind of hard to touch on them specifically, but probably the biggest use case is basically like a dashboard geared towards like a FinOps persona that's really, really high level, but also gives you like, as you go down it, it's kind of breaking out how things make sense for the organization, and shows you things like, month over month, the resources that have the greatest amount of change to them, and what the most expensive resources are running in an environment, things like that. It's really easy to pull out those scenarios. And again, some of them are out of the box with Cloudability. We typically, when we talk to our customers, when we're looking at our onboarding services, and even some of the largest enterprise environments and strategic customers that we've supported, they're seeing that they're getting most of their resources allocated and able to make sense of the majority of their billing data within about 60 to 90 days. So that's really, really fast for an enterprise deployment of enterprise software, right? So again,
and that's just not just 90 days of comprehension. That's 90 days of tweaking it for my business and making sure it's working for me.
Exactly. And at the end of that, actually getting operational value out of the solution.
One final question, the CS teams, what's the easiest way to start an engagement with them? What's the shortest path to getting them involved, helping a customer?
Well, definitely, if you're a current customer, you have an account team, so reaching out to your account team, it could be just filling out the form on our website. If you're not sure who your account team is, that'll definitely get routed to them. Or filing a support ticket or communicating with us right in the solution there is another way that they can do it. But definitely, if you are in communication with your account team members, just letting them know, hey, I want to talk to CS, reaching out through the community, reaching out through the solution are all ways that you can make that happen. And we always try to get back to you as quick as we can. Usually we're able to do that same day or within 24 hours.
It's funny, the reciprocating question is exactly the same. From an AWS side, we've got an account team and a technical account manager attached to the customer. So best success I find is always get those two teams talking to each other in the same room, and we're both going to work to solve whatever the customer is trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I always say this is the SaaS world. We're not just selling a solution or a product, right? This is a relationship. It's a relationship that we want to continue, and we have every incentive to make sure that you are getting as much value out of the solution that you can. Reach out to your account teams, make sure you're getting value from the people that are supporting your implementation of Cloudability, and we definitely want to surface all the resources we can to make sure that you're not just getting the fundamentals, but also reaching into those bells and whistles like right-sizing recommendations for AWS, right, and really understanding the details that those can surface and how to use those efficiently, filtering out the results you don't. That's just one, for instance. There's all sorts of capabilities within Cloudability that kind of go into those details that can add extra value, and we definitely want to make sure that those are easy for our customers to understand. They're getting value out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that list of values and recommendations and insights, it's constantly evolving. We're constantly adding to it from both an AWS and a Apptio, and in many cases a broader IBM perspective. There's some very fun stuff coming down the pipeline in the future. Thank you for joining me, and as always, looking forward to the next round.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thanks for having me, and everybody take care.